Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Learn to Code with Sagar. In this video we are going to build clean and reusable React components. Here we will create a single component which can behave as per user need. So let's look what we are going to build. Here text field we are going to build where we can pass the label, so it will show as with the label. If you don't pass, it will show without label. If you pass a parameter like required, the text field label will show a required icon here. So if you try to submit without adding a value, it will show a message like please fill out this field. If you pass multi-line params to that field, input field will change to text area. And most important, user can apply the custom styles as well. Here in example 1, you can see I have centered the label. Also width of the text box is changed. For example 2, the label and input field in a row. And for example 3, the color of input box is changed. All this control we are going to the user. Also user can change the type of input field as well. We can pass password, we can pass month. Also user can pass the error message on which the border color of the input field will change to red. Also error message will be shown like this. And one more important point is user can render their input elements as well. So if you see the difference between this text box and this field, you will see the difference. This is rendered by the user itself. What to learn from this video? Definitely not React, but a new approach, a new direction to write code, which can make you a unique developer. Because it is said that React is easy to learn but hard to get master. This video is first step to get master in React. You might know how to make reusable component, but how much control of component you gave to the user, that's important. Suppose you want to create UI component library. You will need to give all the custom control to the user. So user can modify as per their requirement. Here I will show you the approach for that. Let's jump to the code. I have already created a React project here. It's showing a welcome message. Let's create one folder for our reusable component. I'm naming it text field. Create one file. I'm naming it text field base .tsx. We are using TypeScript, and here I'm going to write a functional component text field base. Okay, and we need to return one element. For now I am returning just a div, and here writing some dummy text, and we need to export a variable. I'm naming it text field from text field base. Okay, now we can directly use text field inside app.tsx. Here let me remove this welcome message and use here text field. Okay, yeah, it's showing a text from our text field.base file. What we need now input field, input type text, that's all. Now we need label. Let me write here label, and for now I'm naming it just a label. Okay, now we need this label from user. For that, what we can do, we can take a props from user. For that we need to create one interface. I'm naming it interface I text field props, and here I can use take the label, which is optional, and type of string. Okay, if user want to pass label, it will show. If you don't want, it will not show. Okay, and here in the text field base component, we need to use props, which is of type I text field props. I can do one thing here. I can destructure it from props, and I can take it here label. Okay, and we can use this label instead of this hard-coded one. Let's use label. Yeah, that's fine. From app.tsx, let's pass label text. Okay, it is showing as a text. But what if user don't want to pass label? Okay, yeah. So if user don't want to pass, it will not show. But if you see, if you inspect this thing, you will see here element, label element. Okay, so we need to add here conditional rendering for label. If we have label, then only render the label element. Let's add some styling to the text field box. For that, let me create one style file. I'm naming it text field style dot module dot css. So I'm using here css module. You can use normal css way also as per your choice. Okay, I'm creating one root class here. Let me write here display as flex direction as a column, and margin I can pass 5 pixel from top, 0 from left, 5 from bottom, and 0 from right. Okay, and let's use this style. First we need to import, and I'm taking this in text style. From here the file name text field style dot module dot css. Okay, and I can pass that root class here to the root element text style dot root. Okay, once I save, you will see the second one example will show in the column. Let's add some styling to the text as well, as it is not looking that good. We can add one more class, that is input, and I am pasting here some styling css. So padding left, height, border radius, border, and margin. Let me use this class here for this element. Okay, so class name from text style dot input. It will get applied to the input elements. What if user is calling our text field element and he wanted a on change event? Okay, on every character place he want a event and new value. How should we do that now? Because we don't have on change as of now. We can create here on change event, which is also a nullable. It's optional, it's a type of function. Okay, here we can take any value as well. So this is for on change. And suppose if user want on click, on blur, on focus, and other events which can be used with the input element, then how we will do? We will need to add it manually, but that's not a proper way because there are a lot of attributes we can add to the input elements. Okay, what we can do, we can extend this interface from HTML input element. So how we can do, we can extend it just like react dot all HTML attributes, and inside that we can write HTML input element. So HTML input element have all the props, events which we can pass to the input element. So we no need to write manually everything, just we need to extend. So what we can do, we can pass this use this on change and other events as well. So user have passed that here. Now we need to pass everything to the input element. How we can do, we just need to write in this way. Okay, let me try the example. Here I have written the on change. We will get event which is of type react dot event handler or synthetic events, and inside that HTML input element. Okay, and here I can console.log. I can do in e.current target dot value. We can see the value which is typed by the user. So let me open the developer tool, toggle developer tool. Okay, here type here learn to code with, no, that is we have not used the on change event for the first text field. We need to type in second one. Okay, learn to code with Sagar, and check here in console. You will see it's working. Okay, let me close it now. So this is how we can extend and we can use all the events. Now second thing, we need to implement a required one. Okay, required. If it's a required, then we are going to show the star with this label. So how we can do for this label? If it's a required one, it's a spelling mistake. If it's a required one, we can pass it here. Okay, we need to mention it boolean. Okay, if we have required, we need to create one class for that, required. Okay, and whoever is using that, after that we are just going to add some content star, color red, and padding left 6 pixel. Okay, so our class is ready. We just need to append to the label. Here I am creating label props variable, and which is of type react dot html label attribute, or label html attribute, and inside that html label element. Okay, and here we can pass the class name if it's required. Okay, I can destructure it here if it's required. Okay, then only I will use that required class. Text style dot required, else empty. Let's use this here. Okay, and check if I add here a required one. Let's see. Yeah, so here star is added. Okay, and as we are passing all the props to the input element, it will work for input as element as well. Let me demo it. Let me wrap this inside the form. Okay, yes, and let me add one button, input type button, or submit. Sorry, we are inside form, so submit, and its name is submit. Okay, and on form submit, just I can call one function, that is form submit. Okay, here we will get event react dot synthetic event html for element. Okay, and we just need to write here like event dot prevent default, so it will, the page will not get reload. Okay, we have done mistake here. We need to in self enclose the input tag, and here we need to pass the value as submit. Okay, on submit we have this function, we can directly pass it here and refresh it. Okay, without inserting any text here, let's try to submit it. It is showing please fill out this field, and if I type here it will not show. So this is how the required parameter is already getting passed to the input element. Now we can implement error message here. Let's add error message. That's also optional and it is of type string. What we have to do, user is pass error message. We are going to make this border red and we are going to show the error message also. Let me show it first. Here, if user have passed error message, so we are going to show here a label with value as error message. Okay, here we need to write error message. Fine, let me add a error message here. Error message, some error. Okay, so it is showing. What we need to do, we need to add some classes. Okay, let me create first input error. Because of that, border color will be red and one error class or label error. Okay, here color will be red and font size I can, it's a small. Okay, let's use these classes. So if we have this error message, we need to add class to this. Let me create one variable error label props. Okay, its type is also same like label and class name is, if error message is pass, or we can directly use text style dot, or in a array we need to write because this class having is separated by dash, so we need to write in this way and we can pass it here. Okay, error label props, we can pass it here. So it is showing in red color and font size is also change. Now we need to add class to this input element. Let me create one variable input props. Its type is react dot input html attributes and html input element. Okay, type I can mention here as text, then class name as text style input, class name as text style dot input, and here we need to pass props also, props. Okay, all that. Let me use it instead of this. Now if error message is there, we need to append one more class. So how we can do, I can use this, we can use string literal here. Okay, so first input style, and then if error message is there, use the text style and here error, or what's the name for the class, input error, this one, input error. Yeah, so see, the color of the text field is changed when we have error message, but not for first one. Now let's move. if user have passed the multiline property, then instead of input we are going to show the text area. Okay, so let's write one property, that is multiline, and when there is a multiline pass, we are going to show the text area. Otherwise we will show the input, and we have this input already. Okay, like this. And let me destructure it here, multiline. Okay, so this is how we can do. Let me create one more example for that. Just write here multiline and see, yeah, text area is showing. But user can pass the rows also, how much rows he wants. And if you know, the properties for input element and text area element is different, and we are only having the properties for input element. So what we can do here, we can add, take the text area properties, element properties as well. How we can write HTML text area element. Okay, so user can pass any properties which are related to text area as well. Let me do some code cleaning. Instead of writing here, I can create one function, name it input element. Okay, and from here I can return the input, and its input props. Let's move this as well inside this function, and let's call input element at this place. Same we can do for text area element as well. Const text area element. Okay, and from here we can return the text area. Let's use this in this place, text area. Okay, and we need to create props as well, just like a input element. Let's create that text area props, which is of type react dot text area html attribute, and here html text area element. Okay, so we no need to pass type, just we need to pass the class name. Okay, and class name we can create for text area as well. We already have for input. I can copy it as it is and write it here, text area. We don't need the height here because we have rows. Let's use text area. Okay, so string literal text style dot text area, and for error also we have to write correct. Just if there is a error message, we are going to add the input error class. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, I have saved, and with this example, pass error message as property error message. Let's see. Okay, so it is showing, but it is not getting applied to the text area. It is not applied because we haven't used text area props to this text area, so we need to use it. Now it will work. Also we need to pass the props, which is passed by the users as it is. So we need to write, if I minimize maximize it, it will look like this. Now you can see the text area border is also red. Okay, so it's working. Here you can pass the rows also. For multi-line rows, I want 7 rows. Let's save it. See, rows are changed. 3 rows. Okay, now next part is to implement a custom style. So if you observe here, we can pass the styles, which is going to get applied to input or text element, because we are taking all the props and we are passing it as it is to this element. So anyhow, whatever style user is getting passed to text field, that are going to get applied to the input elements. But what about if user want to change the style for the root, or for the label, or for the error message label? How they can do? We need to provide a solution for them, correct? For that, how we can do is we can create one props here, styles, that is also optional one. Here we can give a way to pass the styles. I'm writing here root. Okay, here colon I miss, and here css properties that needs to import from the React. Same for label, we can do css properties. And for input, so user should know this way also he can pass the properties. If user is passing these styles, we need to apply. Here for root, I need to use that style. Okay, let me first destructure it here, styles. Okay, and from that style I can use root here. Same for label also we can do. So if we have label props here, I can do here pass a style from styles dot, and for input elements also we can do style from styles dot input. Okay, and same we need to use for text area as well. Okay, user have two ways to pass styles to the input element and text area element. These two are by this way and by this way as well, input. Okay, it's all up to you for which you are going to give priority. In my opinion, we should give priority to this because it's more convenient for user to understand. Okay, to change the priority, what we need to do, we just need to shift the style after the props. So whatever user have passed in the props, it will get override from the styles dot input. Okay, same thing for text area element as well. Let me write it here. Okay, now we have implemented the custom style also. Let's try some example for this. Okay, text field. Okay, enclose it, then label, some label, add some style, not a style, styles. Okay, and here for root I can pass any style. So for now, just let me take width as 200, save it. See, here the root element have taken the 200 width. Okay, now if I want to make this label in the center, we can do that as well. How we can do? Let me first increase the width to 400. I can pass here label. Okay, and for label also I can pass the style. So how we can do? Just display, or let's try with text align as center. Yeah, so you can see the label is inside in the center. If you want to change styling for the input element, that's also you can do. Let's do that as well. Input, and here background color as blue, okay, or blue violet, and the color of text should be white. Okay, let's check that. You can see here whatever I am typing, that is coming as white, and background color of the input is violet blue, blue violet. Okay, so in this way you can change the styling. One more example, let me show you. Text field, okay, text field, and here I am closing it, passing it label, label, and I am passing the styles for root only, okay, for root. So display flex, and the flex direction is row, and check this one. So here you can see the label and text are showing in row. So this way we are giving full control of style to the user. And last one we have to implement, that is a input renderer. If user don't want to use a text box from our component, he wanted to do some custom styling or some custom logic or some custom rendering, he should able to do that. Let's jump to our base file, write a property there, input renderer. Okay, it's also optional one. It's a type of a function which will return us a React node, a single React node. We can pass them data which is of type I text field. So whatever data user have passed to us means passed to this component text field, we will just return all that data to the input renderer function. Okay, so how we can do, if let me write it here first, input renderer. If we have this one, if we have this one, so we are going to call it first. What's happened? Okay, and here we need to pass data which we have in a props. But in this way the user custom renderer will work and our input element will also work, but we don't want either this or that. Here we need to use a ternary operator. If user have passed the input renderer, then that, otherwise render our code. Okay, let me remove this one. So this is how it is looking. Okay, if user has passed input renderer, it will call that, otherwise our code will run. So if user have used multi-line, it will show text area, otherwise input element will show. Let me show you this example as well. Let's create one more text field. Okay, I'm closing it, and here input renderer. Inside that I'm getting data which is of type I text field props, that I need to import by control dot. Let me first export it, export. Okay, now we will get option to import. Yeah, import. Okay, and this function needs to return some React node, return due. Okay, and from here I can return input of type text. Anything you can write here, it's not a problem, it's up to 2. I'm just giving one example, and the value can be, let me just use string literal, custom value, and whatever value user have passed, that we can use here. Okay, and let me pass this value to the text field, some value. So it will not show only some value, either it will show custom value, that is some value. Let's save it and check. Yeah, see here, it is showing custom value, some value. So by this approach, user can achieve anything whatever he wants. This is how we can implement the custom renderer as well. One thing we have missed, if you see here, we are importing everything from textfield.base file. But suppose you have again many files folder inside a text field, because this can be any reusable component, it can be at any place, so you will have to travel to all that location. To avoid that, what we can do, we can create one input.ts file, input.ts file. Okay, and okay, let me import it here, and here I can export star from textfield.base file. Now inside app.tsx file, we don't need to import from textfield.base, we just need to point to the base folder, that is a text field. Okay, and it will work. Oh sorry, not a input, it's a index. Let me rename it index, and you can see now it's working. So that's how we have to think in this way, so user can have all the control on our component. You can move this type inside the type file, that will be a better thing. That's all for this video. If you like this video, please click the like button. Also subscribe to my channel, because I will come up with a lot of these videos which I have experienced in my live projects. Thank you for your time.